It's Nolan. Artificial intelligence, I'm ahead of y'all. I stay sliding for chips like I'm a debit card. Got the world in my palms like I'm a hooper. Know the joints banging like Hoover. I coach out like Mr. Cooper. Eradicating my foes with flows plenty cold. Shouldered on approach, I came close to the semi. All these funny acting rappers get Emmys. Words matching like Shaq and Penny. If y'all don't see me, you're blind fury. I've been minding my business and take it literal. Took a step back just to shine more like an emerald. Alkaline water with minerals. I'm a general. The stove top cooking your faves. I'm rap emerald. Figaro how the chain's broken. Got them searching my origin like I'm Beethoven. Blacker the better, I'm back. Black and forever. Your rap's whacker than ever. I'm raw like salmonella. My squad prone for the terror. American citizens, please hear me out on my reasonable doubt. / king of the south. Way I bounce on beats. Thought I was springs in the couch. Inviting these MCs to a joust. All I know is the people see me and think inspiration. The poor developed his own and didn't need education. Raised the heat like inflation. My fingerprints spreading through regions and nations. Got enough bars to appease for 3 generations. Yeah, I know they love it when I talk my shit. These rappers stay up on that bull Bill Cartwright shit. I'm on some legendary hereditary saving my gene pool. Never shake hands with a sucker nothing from preschool. Who them boys looking in my window? Have it ghostwriter, won't you check up on my memos? I ain't gotta push a demo, keep it simple. The cash increase like crescendo. Attack the beats like I'm tempo. I'm steady like Camber Gamble's my evolution. Astonishing producing like dude that made the crown and let the rules abolish. We cut the shit like Lorena Bobbitt. Find a hobby, a rap career ain't the greatest topic. These boys scraping for change, looking like nail polish. Feeling brawly like Broly. I block haters like goalies. I'm hardcore in the paint like Mick Foley on Anderson. Target the internet like I'm cannabis. Banging on these cats like KG back in Farragut. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your #1 source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there this Saturday. It's a beautiful day out there out here in Atlanta, so hopefully you're experiencing the same wherever you are as you're viewing. And I greatly appreciate y'all that continue to do so, okay? We just hit that 30,000 a couple days ago. I'm riding high off that, man, because y'all, those of y'all that have been here since the mid to early even late teens of, when I first hit 10, 20. A lot of work goes into this, man. So I greatly appreciate those of y'all that have continued to rock with me along the way. Just wanted to get that out there. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about Joe Budden and his response to whether or not he feels that Jay-Z should be helping Dame Dash through his financial turmoil. Now, y'all know within the last couple of weeks, I actually spoke on Dame Dash's financial turmoils. His assets are being seized upon by the U.S. government. They're coming in, taking his studio. They're taking his film catalog. Anything that he could have been generating money with, it is now being taken and auctioned off because he is still delinquent on judgments from lawsuits that he hasn't made whole, people out there that he owes money. And he's been evading this money for quite some time. And now it's time for him to pay the piper, right? Earlier this year, he lost his 1/3 share of Rockefeller LLC, which is the company that he started with Jay-Z and their other partner, Biggs. He had to auction that off as well because of his delinquent taxes plus the money that he owes from these lawsuits. So he's going through a very rough time. Unfortunately, him and Jay-Z have not been on the same page for quite some time. They've been at odds. There's been a couple occasions where they came back together. Years ago, Dame wanted some tickets for his daughter to go to a Jay-Z concert. Jay-Z took care of it. They took photos backstage. Seemed like there was, going to be some sort of reconciliation there. At that point, it went bad. Dame continued to talk crazy about Jay in public. And when I say talk crazy about Jay, it's just the fact that he feels betrayed. And one thing that I always say when I talk about this Jay and Dame situation, because I looked up to both of these guys, is it really a betrayal if we came into the game together, we put money up together, We built something together, made millions upon millions of dollars. We launched the careers of multiple artists, and have influenced 2 generations. But then at a certain point, you become a liability to what it is that I'm doing because you're cursing out, flipping out, throwing chairs at people that I want to do business with. You may not be interested in doing business with those people. But what about me? What about my concerns? What about my longevity? What about my career? Right? And if you become a liability to me in that, if I decide to go my separate way, is that really betrayal? Or have your actions been low-key betraying me, whether you knew it or not, and I made a decision? Now, for each person walking this earth, if you're confronted with that sort of situation, we are all held to our own decision-making, our own reasoning, our own logic behind how we would move in those certain situations, even if Dame thought he was in the right. If you look at the people that Dame has dealt with in the latter parts of his career since Rockefeller, pretty much none of those situations have gone correctly, right? There was the situation with BlackRock. You know what I'm saying? With the Black Keys. The Black Keys, hey, they worked with him. They dipped out. There was a situation with Currency. Currency said he owed him bread, as in Dame owed him bread for an album that he never got paid for. There's a lot of different people. Him and Cam are on and off. And I think Cam may have known Dame longer than Jay did. And they're on and off to this day. You know? So I don't know. I can't speak on that. But what I can say is, if Dame really felt like he needed help from Jay-Z, I would humble myself, right? Maybe have a conversation. Maybe apologies need to be made. I don't know. Or something. Olive branch. If that's what he wanted. He seems content with where his life is when you see him in interviews or anywhere else. He seems to be, you know, I'm a hustler. I always bounce back. It's a setback, but I'm good. So, I don't know. But in this video, Joe Budden is going to be reacting to a video by Ray Daniels that was released, where Ray Daniels feels like no matter what has happened and transpired, Jay-Z should put some money up for Dame just to make sure he's good. Check in on him, see if there's anywhere that he can help him, anywhere where he can fill in some gaps. I don't know if I would, but that's his perspective. Now let's get to Joe. And of course, with all things Joe Budden podcast, we only play audio.
You say you want to speak about Dame.
Oh, no, that's good. I don't want to speak about Dame.
Okay.
What's going on with Dame?
Apparently, Dame is going through some...
Dame Dash.
Dame Dash is going through some financial issues at the moment. It's being said that pretty much everything is being stripped from him to pay off some debt. So that's including his crib and his studio.
Oof.
To pay off some debts, and then also some other stuff with child support.
Eesh.
Yeah. I saw something interesting that Ray Daniels said that I thought was kind of interesting. At first, I didn't agree with him. He started to expound more. I was kind of like, all right, I could see his point. But he was saying he kind of lost a little bit of respect for Jay-Z because he feels like in this moment, this is the moment where you're supposed to put all your shit to the past and put it behind you and be the person to come say, all right, let me give you a little wrath at this moment.
I agree, but we don't have the most intimate knowledge of their relationship. We know a lot of shit, but depending on what happened, you might...
I don't know if you care to hear it.
I don't agree. Go ahead, please.
I would and wouldn't agree. Yeah. If Dame has crossed the line to Jay, I don't know if he has or has not. But there's definitely a line. Yeah. Like if I'm Jay-Z,
talking when you walk in the room, and then when you walk in the room, gets silent. You know, like when people feel like, you know, like ooh, we know what's going on with him. To me, I think this is what happened with Dame is some real high school-ish to me. It's like, oh, the man is going through something. No one should enjoy watching that. And I'm being honest with you, it kind of makes me lose a little respect for Hov.
Wow.
A little respect for Hov. A little. Not a lot, but a little. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, like, I know Memphis Bleak is your man. He went on record saying he'll always be a millionaire, right? Because Memphis Bleak is your man. I get it. Tata's your man. Those are his little mans that he looked out for. Dame was your peer. And to me, if I'm up...
And to be clear, Tata actually is Jay's peer, not his little man's.
2.5 billion, I'm not going to let somebody who I love, like, they still the godfather of each other kids. Jay can make one phone call and change that man's life. He can make one phone call and help that man, and he won't. And to me, it's like, so let's look at it from the 48 laws of power, right? So they say crush your enemy totally. So, okay, Damon.
It's a long clip, so I'll probably cut it off.
We know they're frenemies.
It's like 12 minutes long.
They still got.
I mean, we could cut it right there and address what he said, and then if you want to go back.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a couple other things. Like he said, you know, at this point, you know, Jay is the person where you've done a lot of like charity and you've done a lot of things to help other people, especially like get out of jail, things like that. People who have nothing to do with your career, people that have never even helped you in any type of way. So while you've done like these godly acts, something that's more personal to your character that would show you really wanting to give back to your legacy would be helping out the person that kind of helped you get to where you're at.
I would think about a couple of factors. And by the way, I would love to see Hov do that. And I also say I don't know enough about either their business to have an opinion on what. I ain't gonna say no shoulds about them in particular. I don't know their business. But what I will say is one thing I would consider is, has a line been crossed? Because there's a line where I don't think I gotta do shit. Second thing is, if I do this, will this solve the problem? Because there are some people who are perpetual. They're always swinging for the fences, and if I clear up this debt, this particular debt, I think is $826,000 from the movie situation. If and I'm not saying this is Dame, I'm just speaking in general terms. If I clear that debt up, and then you know what I mean, and then the next month you throw another $1 million out there trying to swing for the fences, and you're $1 million in debt in a year. Do I got to do that one too? Like, what is the point? And some people are, and Dame has said himself, like, I'm never going to keep cash. I'm never going to be liquid in a certain way. I'm always going to dump it back into the next thing, looking for the next big hit. I don't have any issue with that. But as somebody trying to quote unquote rescue you financially, and I'm not saying he wants rescue, but if I did, I might not feel as comfortable doing that as somebody who, if I give you this, I'm changing. In other words, I don't know if this is going to change his life. That would be another consideration I would have. Will this actually change your life, or will it just empower you to swing for the fences and be down again? Those would be the two things I think about.
Is it possible Jay at this point is just really practicing just one of the fine laws of the art of war?
What, just crushing you?
Like at a certain point, I really started to view you as an enemy. Like it's all possible.
I think it's worse than that. I think he's completely indifferent.
Yeah, I don't think he looks at Dame as an enemy.
I hope not.
You can't have. Let me dress my words up. You can't compete when you can't compare. So I don't think at this point Jay-Z looks at Dame as a formidable enemy. I do think, though, they had a lot of personal shit that transpired. Even in the last year or so, we've seen Dame, whether voluntarily or not, every single interview that Dame Dash goes on, Jay-Z's name comes up.
Yeah, there was a run like that for like 6 months.
Yeah. So if you're Jay, you like, my nigga, what we had, and if you're a man of integrity, whatever slights you got, leave them there, right? Because that's what we supposed to do.
Not to mention the fact, if you've actually been following Dame like I have, I don't know if the video is still out there on YouTube, but there was a video of Dame Dash literally breaking down, crying, probably 2 to 3 years ago at this point. Because he was doing videos talking about Jay and talking about he's dishonorable. He runs with snitches. There's people in his camp that are snitches. I can't believe this. Even if I wanted to be friends with him, there's no way that I can reconcile a friendship with somebody that's running with snitches. And all of this different type of stuff. And then there was a video of him literally breaking down. Y'all remember the fucking video of Kanye crying with the goddamn police SWAT vest on and shit? It was low-key like that, where he was boo-hooing and basically felt like he was beaten to submission, and he apologized to Jay, and he said, Jay, I'm sorry, man. Let me come work with you or something, man. Let's meet up. Let's get this shit past this, man. I'll never talk about you bad again. And I swear, I think it was within a month. It might have been within 2 weeks. He was back on YouTube shitting on Jay, talking crazy. And this is 2 to 3 years ago. Not to mention the early part of this year where he was doing a fucking press tour with nothing to promote, just questioning whether or not Jay would actually partake in the type of debauchery and nastiness that he was being sued for earlier this year, which ended up being tossed. So things of that nature, that doesn't impart a lot of goodwill. That doesn't impart a lot of good faith. That if I am to help you, who's to say not only will it solve your problem, but will this solve my problem with you? Fuck your problem. I got problems with you. So I don't think so, but I'm gonna let them continue to throw it around the room.
So I think that if I'm Jay-Z, me personally, I would have been gave Dame some money, right? But if you're Jay-Z and you just keep hearing this nigga drag your name through the mud more and more and more and more and more, there's a line where you be like, yo, I ain't fucking with that no more.
Right.
I'm not fucking with him. He not maintaining his level of quote unquote realness. So I don't got to do that.
Is there a point where that would matter less depending on how bad the person's doing? In other words, okay, you got a judgment. Oh, there's seasoned property. Cool, but what if the person's homeless?
Answer your point.
Yeah.
If Jay were to give Dame money, I don't care what. If you gonna go back down this road, I'm not giving you the money for that. I'm giving you the money because I love you and I think that you need help. So if I gave, you might be in debt $800,000. If Jay-Z gave him $3-4 million, dog, I'm giving you this money. I did what I'm supposed to do in my heart. What you do with the money is up to you.
And this is a one-off.
It's up to you. Like, hopefully you make 40, 50, another 100. Hopefully you take this $4 million and run with it, and it's 100 in a couple years.
Isn't there also the possibility that Dame wouldn't take the money from Jay-Z?
Possibility?
No.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely
He'd
not.
probably want to take it quietly. Like he wouldn't want there to be a big,
I think he'd take it because even the thing with Cam shot at.
I think he takes it, and I think if from what I'm seeing and from what I've heard in the past, whether it's went back and forth, I think Dame would love to repair and have some level of like calm with that relationship.
For sure.
To a point where it's like, you know what, I just want you to show that you actually still give a fuck about me in some type of way. Because everything through business and everything through the press just seems like you just eliminated.
That's not what he says publicly, though.
I'm just telling you from what.
Got you.
From what I think he would love nothing more for them to get to a peaceful place. Not.
Imani, have you seen any of those videos? Probably not.
Just in the public side, but just business.
Yeah, they love each other.
Yeah.
And here's the other piece.
Well,
Dame probably feels like he's owed that. I mean, from every interview he's ever said, he feels like he was mistreated in a business deal. And so I think if somebody drops $3 or $4 million, if Hov drops $3 or $4 million, I think he feels like that's just
that's a horrible thing to think, though. That you're owed that.
No, owed in the sense that he was mistreated financially.
Feelings ain't facts.
And just to address this once again, if you've been watching me for a while, you know I've talked about this before. But when Jay broke the news to Dame Dash that he was about to forego his own path, he gave Dame the opportunity to retain ownership of his entire music catalog. I repeat, when Jay-Z came to Dame and let him know, bro, this run is over, I'm going to forego my own path, you can retain ownership of my entire music catalog. All I ask of you is to give me ownership fully of Reasonable Doubt. Okay? If you know Reasonable Doubt, that's Jay-Z's first album, his baby. It's the album that he's been advocating for since he came out. He's talked about it on numerous albums, said it never got the credit it deserved. It should have been triple platinum. It should have did all these different numbers. At the time that it dropped, Jay-Z was on I think they had to release it in conjunction with Priority. or one of them other independent labels that was out at the time. No major labels were interested in Jay-Z. They pressed it up. They went through everything on their own, right? So he says, yo, let me have Reasonable Doubt. And you can keep the other, at that time, I think it was probably 6, 7 albums. You can have those. You can keep them. It's all good. Wipe my hands clean. Just give me possession fully of Reasonable Doubt, and we could go our separate ways. Dame Dash said, I don't negotiate with my friends. Okay? So he declined that offer. He declined the opportunity to still be invested in Jay-Z's career, which at the time was about 6 albums. As they moved into the streaming era, whatever, Dame would still be eating off that music today. Well, maybe not today, because I think at a certain point, Jay-Z would have found a way to get it back, right? But he didn't. He didn't accept it. So Jay said, all right, well, I'm about to take this job over here to be president of Def Jam. In return, they're going to give me the music back anyway. But this is my opportunity with you. He declined it. He went over to Def Jam, became the president, and he ended up getting his fucking music back after he completed his term as president. Dame, at that point, got cut out the deal. Because he chose that. So when they say that Dame was done wrong financially or he was done wrong business-wise, no, he chose wrong business-wise. Because at that point, he was offended and said, well, if you don't want to be a part of this no more, then I don't want to be involved, period. Fuck that shit. And he went his own separate way, and that was the beginning of his ending. Again, I've been following these niggas my entire life. You know what I'm saying? I grew up watching this shit. The shit is published in magazines. I believe XXL interviewed him about this shit. Those are his words from Dame Dash. So, there you have it.
I'm not, again, I don't have no opinion on that, but if you feel, it's just like if right now, he owes you $1,700 for that light bill. Mm-hmm. So there's a way that if he gave you $1,700 or something, you could justify and say, well, nigga, he owed it to me anyway. He never paid me for the light bill.
Yeah, but what money does Jay owe Dame? Like, as far as like, I owe you money because...
I'm not saying in legal terms. I'm saying in terms of, Dame has repeatedly talked about sort of, there was ethical violations between men and how street niggas move, how Harlem niggas move, et cetera, in terms of the business deals, in terms of how the label was split up, in terms of just now saying behind the scenes when it was auctioned off, when the, he felt like, again, they put their thumb on a scale to make it harder for him to sell it. They devalued it. These are things that he has said he feels mistreated. So I could see him accepting the money and not feeling any kind of way about it, because it's like, if I wouldn't be in this position to need it if y'all hadn't done these things. Again, that's just a position somebody could have.
Allegedly.
And I can
I'm just saying from his perspective. I don't think it's right. I don't have an opinion on it.
Jay could also think and speak to moments of him doing interviews and speaking on his character and bringing up certain things that could have made the public look at Jay in a different way, to say that was a way of devaluing him as. So, I mean, I don't, at this point, the old word is just, I think, just a bad word to use in this situation. I think both of them did what they needed to do together to get to where they need to get. Jay just so happened to be able to take it to the next level of where he was going. And
just so happened is sure. Yeah.
I mean, not just so happened, but I mean, he played the game the way the game was.
I was the talent.
Yeah.
I was the talent.
That's not always the case.
No, that's not it. That's not the only piece.
That's not.
I didn't say it was. I said I'm the.
When people talk about hip hop legends, the name Jay-Z is always near the top of the list.
Hold on, cut. You don't cut in with no shit like that. And I'm pissed because I thought Joe had some shit to say. That nigga Joe went radio silent. He let the flunkies of the motherfucking podcast do all the talking. God damn. Then this nigga gonna jump in with his motherfucking AI voice and shit, man. Get your ass out of here. But anyway, the point remains. He don't owe that man nothing, man. These men are what, getting towards 60 years old. They knew each other from what, age 20, 21, probably remained friends up till about 30. They haven't really been involved in each other's life in the past almost 20 years. So we've not been friends longer than we actually were friends at this point. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? Now, do I think that Jay-Z is doing everything in his power to destroy Dame? No. I think things could be a lot worse for Dame, honestly. If he wanted to destroy Dame, I don't think Dame ever gets that BET deal to distribute Honor Up and whatever other films that he was gearing up to release through BET. And I believe that relationship with BET came from the late Irv Gotti before he passed, because Irv Gotti was dealing heavily with BET. Now let's keep in mind, although Dame is not tight or close or fucking with Jay at this point, Irv Gotti, before he passed, was still fly with Jay-Z. So if it was really that deep, all it really, niggas talk about make a phone call that could change his life. He could have made the phone call to say, yo, I don't like you fucking with him. I don't like you giving the olive branch for him to BET. That would be some hater shit. That would be some bullshit. That would be some fuck shit. Because why stand in the way of that man's deal? But that's what he could have done. He did not do that because he got the deal with BET. Unfortunately for him, after getting the deal with BET to distribute his films, his unpaid debts, the chickens came home to roost. So he just didn't button up his business, man. And I think Dame still has an opportunity to make his own impact because he's always going to have ideas. There's always going to be somebody who's willing to align themselves with him because he is Dame Dash, and there is a legacy and a history that's associated with his name that supersedes a lot of what others in the music industry may have accomplished. So there's always going to be new artists that are going to take a chance and want to do music with him. There's always going to be filmmakers or, upcoming creatives who are going to throw a shot in the dark and say, man, this is the opportunity to work with the Dame Dash. I'm going to take it. Now, whether it goes right or left, I'll prepare myself. But because I'm looking for an opportunity to work with somebody that's stamped in the industry, I'm going to take that chance, right? And people take those chances every day, whether that's fucking with Dame, whether that's going and signing with Universal, whether that's signing with QC, whether that's going and signing with whomever, because it's not a guaranteed situation anywhere. People were still signing and fucking with Diddy, despite knowing that nigga was taking people's rights to their music, taking their publishing, put it in his mama's name. All this stuff was known information. And people continued to go there. So, yeah, Dame is going to continue to still have some sort of, foot in the industry, even after all of this is taken care of, because when those assets, his properties, his film catalog, once the outstanding balances are made whole, if there's any profits, those profits go back to his household. So whatever those totals are, I think it's somewhere in the upwards of $900,000 once you tally everything in, close to $1 million. If he makes 1.5, if he makes 2 million, then the remaining from that goes back to him. So he could end up walking away with a couple extra dollars to go ahead and revamp and start over. And knowing Dame, he is, because they're not going to take, he's going to be able to probably get some new cameras, get some new sound equipment. He's going to get right back to podcasting and doing his thing, which is probably the easiest way to stay relevant in these times. His channel's already there. You know, if you got to start a new, I don't know how they're going to do with his channel with the American New, because I think they're seizing that company. So I don't know if he's going to have to start a new channel or whatever, but he'll do it again. But we shall see. I'm quite sure he's going to have to do that without the assistance of Jay-Z, and I'm not sure why people expect Jay-Z to do it anyway. But let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. And before I go, if anybody says anything about Jay-Z hating DMX, because I know somebody's going to say it, if you feel like he was hating on DMX, go look up how he let DMX out of his Def Jam deal without paying any of his debt. And he was down a considerable amount. And he let him go scot-free. Look it up. King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rags. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I've been dropping these haters like calories. First I'm out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no gunner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.